Hello everyone. Namaskar, Salaam, Akal, Vanakkam. Wish you all a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi. We are back with a fresh episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com. This is India's first real estate focused podcast. It brings to you updates, views, and insights about the realty sector, an explainer on a chosen subject, and a deep dive on an industry trend or topic. You can catch the episode on Housing.com, on the Housing.com app, on earshot.in, Spotify.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Ghana.com, and JioSaavn. If you missed the episode, don't worry. We have you covered. Wear your headphones or put on the phone speaker. You can listen to this while driving, eating, cooking, jogging, running, walking, or chopping vegetables, or basically doing anything else, wherever you want, wherever you are. A single nationwide license for real estate brokers. Land or apartment, which is a better investment bet? Will easing floor space index or FSI rules shore up supplies? And how do you arrive at fair market value of a property? Details of all these and much more. Stay tuned. Many of you have moved houses between states and cities. Many of you may have moved houses even in integrated metropolitan areas, such as the National Capital Region, NCR. Haven't you confronted different brokerage rules for different cities? We bet you have. We know, this can be confusing, time-consuming, and also at times frustrating. Well, there is a move to get this sorted. Real estate brokers in India have sought a uniform license across India. They say that a one nation, one license will not only help realtors in India grow and expand, but also help bring uniformity across all real estate regulatory authorities or RERAs. The National Association of Realtors India, which is a real estate organization that represents more than 50,000 property brokers nationwide, has urged the central government to issue brokers a single license that would allow them to conduct business anywhere in the nation, regardless of which state they are a resident of. News reports say that the Central Advisory Council, which was established in accordance with the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act 2016 and is presided over by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, has sent letters to all states regarding one nation, one license for real estate agents. They said that the states have not yet established or put into practice the necessary modalities. If put into practice, it will make it possible for brokers and real estate agents to conduct business in all states with ease. But implementing this may not be a breeze. There could be challenges too. This is what Vikas Wadhawan, who is the Chief Financial Officer of Housing.com, said.
I think it's important to understand how RERA is implemented in India. While it is a central act, the implementation of RERA was given to the state authorities, and every state, while implementing RERA, created their own rules, regulations, and licensing requirements for their respective states. And these licensing requirements not only prescribed different tenures, different provisions, but also the different fee which a broker is required to pay for getting registered under RERA. So a broker who is operating in multiple jurisdictions, it is a very, very cumbersome requirement for them to comply with these licensing requirements. So in my view, I feel it's a very timely and a valid ask from the broker community to have something like one license, one nation kind of a scheme under RERA, where once a national or a nationwide license is availed by a broker, he's allowed or free to operate in any jurisdiction. This will help brokers to scale their business faster and having less compliance burdens on them. I think it is also timely for the government now to consider expanding the ambit of RERA to resale and rental transactions. This will also help improve the transparency and accountability and will help further grow the industry in these segments of the business.
Doors will open on the left. Please mind the gap between. What's a better investment, land or apartments? Well, research suggests residential land yields better returns. Research by the REA India, owned leading full-stack digital real estate platform Housing.com, found that prices of residential plots appreciated by 7% CAGR annually since 2015 across 8 major cities, while rates of apartments grew by 2% CAGR annually during this period. In 8 major cities, that is Delhi NCR, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kolkata, and Ahmedabad, people generally prefer to buy apartments rather than plots. The reason behind the popularity of flats are security and common amenities like power backup, car parking, club, gym, swimming pool, and garden area, among others. Despite higher demand for flats in these 8 cities, the current and historical trends suggest that plots comparatively have higher returns than other residential assets. According to Ankita Sood, head of research at Housing.com, Makaan.com, and PropTiger.com, localities such as Gurugram and the Southern Sisters comprising Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai recorded double-digit growth in prices for residential plots, especially post-2018.
Historically speaking, for us as Indians, land as part of real estate holds a very special place as it is regarded as one of the key segments of one's investment portfolio, apart from gold, stocks, and others. Now, we have seen that residential plots have been able to generate higher return on investment in the past decade or so. If we deep dive into our data trends, we see that the demand for plots or land and independent floors have come back very strongly, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Easing of regulatory policies on sale of individual floors, like in North, and also the fact that land is more convenient, to liquidate during need, or if you're getting a good price, unlike a built property, there has been increased end user and investor interest in buying plots or land parcels. Developers too are trying to meet this rise in demand by launching such projects on the outskirts of bigger cities. Corroborating to what I said and corroborating to the peak in demand, we have seen key localities in Gurugram and the Southern Sisters comprising of Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai record double-digit growth in prices for residential plots, especially post-2018, where prices for land in these cities has only grown in the range of 13 to 21% in the last 3 years. The weighted average prices for apartments has remained more or less range-bound and are moving in the range of 2 to 6% annually. I believe post the pandemic, positive sentiments have actually propelled the interest towards, buying land or plotted development. And this is further going to go up in the coming quarters across all the cities.
Where prices for land in these cities grew in the range of 13 to 21% in the last 3 years, apartment prices have remained range-bound 2 to 6%. Positive sentiments induced by policy changes and the pandemic will further fuel this demand in coming quarters. During 2018 to 2021 period, Hyderabad witnessed the maximum price appreciation in plots at 21% compounded annual growth rate. In Chennai, the rates of residential plots prices grew at a CAGR of 18% during 2018 to 2021. The residential land prices in Bangalore increased at a CAGR of 13% between 2018 and 2021. In the Gurugram market in Delhi NCR, the prices for residential plots grew by 15% CAGR between 2018 and 2021. The land prices in Sona, Gurugram grew by 6% CAGR during the same period. Sector 99, Sector 108 along Dwarka Expressway, Sector 95A in New Gurugram, and Sector 70A and Sector 63 were major destinations for residential land in Gurugram, in both demand and price appreciation in 2021. The supply of plots in Gurugram is high because of policy-based initiatives by the Haryana government. What does freedom mean to you? Well, for home buyers, freedom may mean having a house of their own at an affordable price. For developers, it could mean freedom from multiple hold-ups, single window clearance, an industry status, easy funding, and most importantly, Floor Space Index or FSI free developments. FSI is Floor Space Index, which is also referred as FAR or Floor Area Ratio. FSI is the permissible development norm by different government agencies and the local municipalities. It is calculated as the total floor area of every floor with respect to the total area of the plot of land. In India, every city has its own FSI norms, ranging from 1.5 to 3.75, with Hyderabad being the only city in the country with unlimited FSI. The question is whether the freedom from FSI would actually revolutionize the housing market and create surplus housing. Opinions differ. There is a debate over whether urban housing should be concentrated in and around the central business districts, or CBDs, with liberal FSI norms, which may put pressure on civic infrastructure. The alternative is to develop sprawling horizontal growth centers beyond the existing city limits. This would require resources and funds on a long-term basis. In India, experts differ on the Hyderabad model of freedom from FSI. Some experts point out that in spite of being an FSI-free city, property prices in Hyderabad have grown faster than Bengaluru or Chennai, thus running against the argument that freedom from FSI would create more supplies of affordable houses. There are many questions that the urban planners in the country need to delve deeper to find an answer. These include: is freedom from FSI a good or a bad idea for real estate developments? Number 2, has there been any learning from an FSI-free city like Hyderabad? And number 3, what is the ideal FSI and density norm for city development? The ideal FSI cannot be determined because it differs from region to region. It should be decided by keeping in mind the growth, infrastructure facilities, open spaces, and green cover. Density norms cover several aspects like economic, social, physical, environmental, and built structures, among others, in town planning of a particular region. Aditya Kushwaha, CEO and director of Axis E-Corp, believes that the concept of freedom from FSI is a good idea. That said, policymakers need to ensure stronger regulations and a well-defined timeline that projects need to follow.
The town and planning department of each city where FSI opportunity is being given need to play a proactive role in deciding the parameters, where result in timely delivery of the projects and avoiding undue pressure of the civil infrastructure. The master plan of the city drives the FSI and density norms of the city development. Factors like land availability and proposed target are considered to plan the civic infrastructure required along the FSI regulations. A standard one-size-fits-all FSI and density norms cannot be applied to various cities and areas of the country.
How do you arrive at the fair market value of a property? What is its importance in income tax laws? The concept of fair market value is important for finding out the cost of acquisition for capital gains purposes. The income tax laws do not provide any guidelines on how the fair market value of a property has to be arrived at. However, there are certain ways through which you can make an estimation of the fair market value of the property, which would generally be acceptable to the income tax department. In order to avoid under-reporting of the consideration in sale agreements, which is done to avoid payment of appropriate stamp duty, states have introduced the system of predefined prices, depending on the area and nature of construction. This is done through stamp duty ready reckoner or announcement of circle rates, etc., which are generally notified every year. Circle rate is the value below which a property cannot be bought or sold in an area. The circle rates vary from locality to locality. They are revised from time to time by the local authorities to keep the value close to the existing market value of property in a particular area. Even if the seller plans to charge an amount that is lower than the per square feet circle rate, you will have to pay stamp duty based on the prevalent circle rate. If the property is being sold at a higher rate than the circle rate, the stamp duty will be calculated based on the transaction cost in this case. However, it is not as easy to find out the fair market value of a property as it seems, because the real estate market is a very heterogeneous market, where the rates of properties can vary very much, even within the same area. It becomes more difficult in case you have to find out the fair market value for properties as old as 2001. If the ready reckoner rate is not available for a particular year, you have another option. You can obtain a valuation report from a valuer who is registered under the wealth tax rules and who is recognized for determining the fair market value for income tax purposes. The registered valuer follows a standard process for the purpose of arriving at the valuation and issues a detailed valuation report for the same. The fee that a registered valuer can charge is already prescribed under the laws. You can also obtain the services of a registered valuer if you feel that the valuation as per the ready reckoner is on the higher side. The registered valuer inspects the property, gives the report stating the fair market value of the property along with the basis for arriving at the valuation. It is important to note that the rates stated in the stamp duty ready reckoner are not mandatory and are just guidelines. So if you feel that the stamp duty or circle rates are higher by more than 105%, you should obtain a valuation report from a valuer to substantiate your case at the time of making the deal, without having to wait for your case being selected for detailed scrutiny. The Income Tax Department generally accepts valuation report of the registered valuer. Out of both the methods available to you, the second method of obtaining the valuation report from a registered valuer is advisable to make the matter stronger and convincing. That's it from us for this episode. We shall be back again with a fresh new episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com with information, insights on the real estate industry. Take care and stay safe.